It's 11:47 p.m., the dishes are done, your phone is on the nightstand, screen dark. You've brushed your teeth, turned off the lights, pulled the blanket up to your chin. Your body sinks into the mattress like it's been waiting for this moment all day. Something happened earlier today. You couldn't quite name it at the time. A short pause before someone answered you. A message that got left unread. A moment that felt slightly off. Gone almost as fast as it arrived. You brushed past it. You had things to do. For about 90 seconds, lying here in the dark, everything is quiet. Then it comes back. Not the full memory yet, just a feeling first, a tightness low in your chest, the same tightness from earlier today, except now there's nothing to distract you from it. Your mind starts searching for where that feeling came from. And it doesn't stop at today. It reaches further back, pulling up a sentence from a conversation you had 4 years ago. Word for word, tone for tone. You didn't think about it once today. You didn't think about it yesterday. But now, in the dark, it plays back with perfect clarity and your stomach tightens the exact same way it did back then. You open your eyes. You stare at the ceiling. You tell yourself to stop, to think about something else, anything else. Instead, your mind pulls up another file. The email you sent this morning that hasn't been answered yet. The look on your friend's face when you said the wrong thing. A decision you made 2 years ago that you still haven't fully forgiven yourself for. None of it is happening right now. None of it can be solved at midnight. And yet here you are, wide awake, running through all of it like it's urgent, like it matters more than the sleep itself. Why does one small, forgettable moment from today have the power to drag your whole past into bed with you? Scientists have a name for part of what is happening to you, and it comes from a strange discovery made almost a century ago. A psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik noticed something odd about waiters in a busy restaurant. They could remember complex unpaid orders in perfect detail, but the moment a bill was paid, the memory vanished almost instantly. Unfinished tasks stayed loud in the mind. Finished ones went quiet. This became known as the Zeigarnik Effect. Your brain does not file away unfinished business. It flags it. It keeps a small alarm running in the background, waiting for resolution. And here is the strange part. Your brain does not know the difference between an unfinished task and an unfinished feeling. That awkward thing you said today? Unfinished. That relationship that ended without an explanation? Unfinished. That email you meant to send? Unfinished. All day, your body is busy. Your senses are flooded with input, movement, people, screens. There's no room for these open loops to surface. Then you lie down, the noise stops. And every unresolved file your mind has been quietly collecting all day finally gets its turn to speak. This is where your brain's wiring becomes even more interesting. During the day, your attention is directed outward, toward tasks, toward other people, toward your phone. But the instant that outward focus fades, a different network takes over. Neuroscientists call it the default mode network, the part of your brain that activates when you are not focused on anything specific at all. Researcher Matthew Lieberman has spent years studying this system, and what he found is almost counterintuitive. Your brain is never actually resting. When it is not busy with the outside world, it turns inward, scanning your relationships, your identity, your unresolved conflicts. Lying in bed with nothing to do is, to your brain, an open invitation to think about everything it hasn't had time to think about yet. But there's a deeper reason this feels less like thinking and more like danger. Your amygdala, the small almond-shaped structure in your brain responsible for detecting threats, does not distinguish well between a physical threat and a social or emotional one. A tiger in the grass and an awkward text message can trigger a surprisingly similar alarm. And at night, with your cortisol levels naturally shifting and your defenses lowered, that alarm becomes easier to trip and harder to switch off. Researcher Robert Sapolsky, who has spent decades studying stress in primates and humans, describes this as one of the strange costs of being a highly social, highly intelligent species. Zebras do not lie awake replaying an argument with another zebra. You do. Why would evolution build a brain that punishes you the moment you finally get some quiet? Go back far enough, and it starts to make a strange kind of sense. For most of human history, your ancestors lived in small groups where social standing was survival. Being excluded from the group did not just hurt your feelings. It could mean losing access to food, protection, safety. A brain that replayed social mistakes at night, obsessively checking for danger in every interaction, was not broken. It was doing its job. Late-night rumination may be an ancient threat rehearsal system built for a world where the biggest danger wasn't a predator in the dark. It was being cast out by your own people. Think about the last time you lay awake replaying a conversation. Maybe you said something slightly wrong to a friend. Maybe your mind kept looping back to a look someone gave you, a pause before they answered a text. In the moment, it felt urgent, almost dangerous, even though nothing bad was actually happening. That is your ancient alarm system running a program built for a world that no longer exists, using tools built for a world that does. But here is the twist almost nobody expects. Overthinking at night was never really designed to solve your problems. It was designed to keep the loop open. Your brain isn't trying to find an answer while you lie there. It's trying to make sure you don't forget the problem exists. That's a very different job. A rehearsal system doesn't need a solution to feel satisfied. It just needs your attention. And your attention is the one thing insomnia guarantees it will get. This explains something strange about overthinking. The more you try to force a solution at 2 a.m., the more alert your brain becomes, because effortful thinking itself is a signal that something important is happening. You are, in a very real sense, teaching your own brain that midnight is when the important thinking gets done. And your brain, always eager to be useful, starts showing up earlier and earlier each night to help. Modern life has made this worse in a way your ancestors never had to deal with. You don't just carry a handful of unresolved conflicts from your tribe of 30 people. You carry hundreds of open loops at once. Unread messages, unanswered opinions from strangers online, unfinished shows, unfinished goals, unfinished conversations that got cut off mid-sentence by a notification. Every scroll through your phone plants a dozen tiny Zeigarnik effects before bed, and your brain dutifully stores every single one, waiting for the quiet moment to bring them all back at once. Your ancestors ended each day with a handful of unresolved threads at most. You end most days with dozens, scattered across a dozen different apps, each one a tiny unfinished story your brain refuses to let go of. A comment you didn't reply to, a message left undelivered, a video you started but never finished. None of them feel urgent alone. Together at midnight, with nothing left to distract you, they form a chorus, Notice how this feels the next time it happens to you. You climb into bed, you put your phone down, and within minutes, an entire committee of half-finished thoughts shows up uninvited, each one demanding to be heard before you're allowed to sleep. There is something almost cruel about the timing. The one part of your day meant for rest becomes the one part of your day your brain has been saving up for. But what scientists discovered next was even more surprising. It isn't only the number of open loops that matters, it's the emotional charge attached to each one. A forgotten grocery item barely registers. A conversation where you felt judged, excluded, or embarrassed registers loudly because your brain still treats social threat with the same urgency it once reserved for physical danger. This is why you can forget an entire to-do list within seconds, but replay a single awkward sentence for hours. Your mind isn't ranking your problems by importance to your future. It's ranking them by how dangerous they once felt to your ancient tribal sense of belonging. Think about the last time someone left you on red. Nothing happened? No actual harm was done? And yet, your mind may have spent the evening constructing entire imaginary conversations, defending yourself against accusations no one made, rehearsing explanations no one asked for. That rehearsal wasn't random. It was your brain preparing you for a version of exile that hasn't existed in thousands of years, but that your nervous system still treats as a live possibility. This isn't actually the biggest reason your nights feel this way either. There's a second layer hiding underneath the first, and it has to do with how your brain handles uncertainty itself. Daniel Kahneman, who spent his career studying how humans make decisions, described the mind as deeply uncomfortable with unresolved ambiguity. Given an unfinished pattern, your brain doesn't shrug and move on. It searches, sometimes obsessively, for closure, even when no real answer exists. An unanswered question about why someone acted a certain way isn't just mildly annoying to your brain. It's an itch that demands a scratching, and darkness gives that itch nowhere else to go. During the day, this discomfort gets buried under decisions, conversations, deadlines, and screens. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus and planning, is busy handling the present moment. But at night, as you drift towards sleep, that same prefrontal cortex quiets down first, loosening its grip on focused, linear thought. What's left is a more associative, wandering kind of thinking, less controlled, more emotional, more prone to spiraling. This is part of why 2 a.m. thoughts can feel so much more catastrophic than the exact same thoughts would feel at 2 p.m. You're not thinking more clearly at night. You're thinking with fewer guardrails. Researchers studying sleep and stress, including neuroscientist Andrew Huberman, point to something practical hiding inside this pattern. The brain doesn't stop rehearsing because you tell it to stop. It stops when it believes the loop has been acknowledged, not necessarily resolved. Writing a thought down, even briefly, can signal to your nervous system that the information has been captured and no longer needs to be held in active alert. It's not magic. It's closure. In the smallest possible form, your brain will accept. This reveals something important about the nights you can't sleep. It was never really about the argument or the email or the thing you said wrong. It was about an alarm system trying to protect a version of you that lived in a much smaller, much more dangerous world. A version of you that needed to remember every social misstep to survive until morning. You are not broken for lying awake. You are running very old software on a very new kind of life, there's a reflection worth sitting with here. The very fact that your mind returns to these moments so insistently is, in its own strange way, evidence of how much you care. A brain that didn't value connection, belonging, or self-image wouldn't bother running these late-night rehearsals at all. The discomfort you feel at midnight is, underneath everything, an old form of love for your own survival, misapplied to a world that no longer requires it in the same way. Understanding that doesn't make the loop disappear instantly, but it does change what the loop means. It stops being proof that something is wrong with you and starts being proof that your ancient wiring is simply out of date, not out of order. The next time your mind switches on, the moment your body finally goes still, you might notice it differently. Not as failure, not as something wrong with you, but as a very old guard doing a very old job, still checking the perimeter long after the danger it was built for has disappeared. It doesn't know the difference between a predator and a poorly worded text message. It only knows an open loop when it sees one. So it's 11:47 p.m. again. The dishes are done. Your phone is dark on the nightstand. Your body sinks into the mattress. And for 90 seconds, everything is quiet. And this time, when the first sentence resurfaces, when your mind starts pulling files you never asked it to open, you know exactly whose files they are and exactly what they're still looking for.